Good morning, good morning, good morning. I had to re-record that previous video that I sent. I don't know if the volume wasn't coming out clear enough. Like I said, I was saying, when it comes down to certain people that I stay in the house with, like I said, this house was the house that me and my son had. Me and my fiance had when my son was born. When my dad bought the house, he said he was buying it for us. Certain names were taken off the documents. But sometimes a person will get close to you to see what you got or try to obtain or think that you have obtained things illegally. They'll try to get in there and stir up confusion. And sometimes people want your identity more than their own because it looks better on them. When it comes down to me and my son, people have always been trying to come between us, especially in Nash County. I dealt with that in 2021. That stuff was staged, but the police wouldn't let me plead my case. They took sides with my father because he has people in his pockets. So sometimes when another person comes back to another area, see, my dad's never left Edgecombe or Nash County. He built, an altar or a pillar amongst ones who have leadership roles in those areas, and it works for his favor. But sometimes when a person has come here from another county, and plus when I have classmates that I went to school with, or I talk to other individuals, some of the females I went to school, one of them was a federal prosecutor. Some of those individuals know how my family actually works. So sometimes you really don't never know why a person is really in place or told to be in position or where he is to clean up an area that they see a lot of corruption and confusion going on. And them RICO charges, when they start coming out, it affects a lot of people, especially some people in my family. I know it's going to hurt. And when it comes down to Friday for my son, if y'all can see, that paper was notarized. There was no need for a social worker to call me and say she needed to verify my address and needed further information because the notary had already done that. So sometimes people abuse their powers because they have relationships with others. But even Inglewood Elementary had the same document. They only had that one piece of paper. They never took copies of my ID or all the other personal information because that's the notary's job. I couldn't get through to nobody on Nash County because, like I say, they have certain people, they work together amongst each other. So I called up ahead to Wake County. And it's a statewide thing. Everyone's supposed to follow rules and regulations. They're supposed to follow the same rules, guidelines. And Wake County pretty much always set the standard. You can't no county has no more power than the other. They all have to follow the rules and regulations. I made 2 copies for a reason that same day. Because I feel like maybe there was going to be an issue. I made 2 copies. This was the copy that the school had. This was the other copy that I sent off to have somebody else verify, just in case I had any issues on this end. And I got clarification yesterday through text message that right there was more than enough for my son to be able to start school. He did. He started school last Tuesday. So there was no need for a social worker to call me on Friday to come get my child at 1 o'clock, knowing that the verification had already been verified by a notary for my residency. She wouldn't have put her stamp or approval on it or notarized it if she hadn't seen that signature up there. Like I said, some people work when they try to come in and control. When they work in a system to try to control one person, it's always going to be a mess. But sometimes they don't realize how powerful that one person is, or who he actually has real contacts or relationship with in other counties on higher political positions or legal positions. That's why I told her Friday, I said, man, some of this stuff people got to understand. You got local, state, and then you have federal. Nothing overstops a personal or federal offense. Nothing overrules that. So when I get in contact with somebody who's a federal prosecutor or anybody who they're on a higher chain of the government, and they clarify that, hey, that's more than enough, So there should be no, I should never have any issue down here in a Nash or Edgecombe County side, anything when it comes to having my child, man, and my child's safety has never been a problem. It's just the ones around me who don't want to see me, when they can't control me or control my son, they try to make it feel like it's a problem or issue, or they try to stage things, make it like a problem or issue, so they can try to force their agenda or have their way. And I'm not all into that whole family thing. So my dad, he's upset about that. I'm not worried about no family. My uncle go to church for the wrong reasons. He said he only go to that church because his family went there. That's for the wrong reasons. He's not even going to try to obtain the word. And any person, my father, he let me get my phone and call the police. He even say in the Bible, if you have a problem with your brother, go before your brother and seek counsel first, before you even get on the phone and try to call for law enforcement, anything. But he's always, they do things because of how they were taught, the program, because they want to force their agenda. I say, man, it's very important that people stay prayed up so you can figure out the ways of the world and antics, so you can protect yourself, protect your children. That's why I pray 24/7. And when a person try to rise up against a child of God, and people would go and read Psalms 109, they realize that some of those curses that will come back on their family's bloodline, that they would stop playing with a child of God. And like I say, when it comes down to this piece of paper, for that extra information they need, I don't like for people to try. I really don't like for people to try to overplay their role or power or abuse their powers to try to force something that's unnecessary when the notary had already done her job. Because, like I said, there's a higher chain on that, and I hate to see somebody lose their job. I hate to see somebody lose their job. Get into your word. Feed your spirit, feed your natural. And I pray that people will find something safe to play with inside playing with me. Y'all be encouraged. Get into your word, feed your spirit, feed your natural.